Hello?
Well, hi!
If there's one thing Disney is good at, it's taking a gloomy fairy tale and turning it into a classic animated film. But some Disney plots don't always add up, causing viewers to come up with some dark explanations of their own. These Disney theories are so morbid they'll flip your childhood on its head. Watch until the end to find out which young hero is predicted to be the most ruthless Grim Reaper in Disney history.
It seems we have time on our hands.
But I was only trying to—
Silence!
The Prince. There's something about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs that has never sat well with viewers. First of all, Snow White was only 14 years old when she married the prince. Second of all, Snow's crazy stepmother literally tried to end her life, going as far as to ask the huntsman to carve out her heart and put it in a box. Snow White's story seems to end on a high note. She marries the prince and lives happily ever after. But according to a Redditor named Sherazade, that's not exactly how things went down. According to their dark theory, the prince is actually death personified. In this theory, Snow White truly passes away after eating the poisonous apple. Then the prince, aka the Grim Reaper, gives Snow the kiss of death and takes her to the afterlife. Taking things a step further, the pale horse that the couple rides away on is said to be a biblical metaphor, once again symbolizing the afterlife. This theory changes everything, but believe it or not, the prince isn't the only Grim Reaper in this video, and he's certainly not the scariest. King Triton's rule.
The daughter of the great Sea King is a very precious commodity.
This next Disney theory brings us to the depths of the Atlantic Ocean, where King Triton rules over Atlantica, as seen in The Little Mermaid. Despite having 7 daughters, all of which are more responsible than Ariel, Triton always had a soft spot for the youngest daughter. But there's a dark theory surrounding Triton's large family and gene pool. This theory accuses Triton of infidelity, amongst many other things. First of all, have you ever noticed that every single one of Ariel's sisters looks completely different? Well, this might be because they're only half-sisters. It's believed that, to further his bloodline, King Triton never has 2 children with the same mermaid. He chooses to keep his daughters and raises them to be showpieces like he wanted to do with Ariel. Another theory suggests that King Triton does not want to have any sons, because they could try and take his throne away, so he makes sure his wives only supply him with daughters, if you know what we mean. But this terrifying theory doesn't end there. It's believed that Triton actually gets rid of his wives after they give him a daughter. Then he marries someone new and repeats the deadly cycle. Carl's last nap. This next theory is so dark and twisted it can be hard to accept, but it's also beautiful in its own special way. In Disney's Up, we meet an old widow who is tired of being pushed around by the developers in his neighborhood. They want to tear down his house to build something new, and Carl's against it.
I believe I made my position to your boss quite clear.
Sadly, there's little Carl can do. There's a Reddit theory that suggests that Carl actually passes away in his armchair after the developers tell him to vacate his residence. Carl's journey to the mountains is considered to be his journey to heaven, but before he can truly be reunited with his loved one, he needs to do a good deed. So he serves as Russell's guardian angel and helps him earn his Assisting the Elderly badge.
For assisting the elderly,
The more we think about this theory, the more it makes sense. However, if this theory is true, Up would resemble the short film Above Then Beyond to a T, and Disney would be accused of stealing Yannick Banchero's idea once again, but this time they'd have trouble dismissing the rumors. Gaston the Hunter. Gaston from Beauty and the Beast is one of the most self-centered individuals in Disney history. He's so confident he borders on delusional. Although Gaston does perish at the end of the movie, there's a theory that places him in another Disney flick before the events of Beauty and the Beast take place. During the song, Gaston sings about hunting. He says that when he hunts, he sneaks up on his prey. He also says that he always aims for the liver and shoots from behind. After a while, Disney fans began to wonder if Gaston could be the hunter who shot Bambi's mother. And the more they dug around, the more clues they seemed to find. At the beginning of the movie, before Prince Adam gets cursed, you can see a deer peacefully eating grass in the forest. Redditors believe this to be Bambi's mother, as well as an Easter egg. At the end of the song, Gaston says that he uses antlers in all of his decorating. once again proving that he has hunted deers in the past. Cusco and the Fly. Then there's the dark theory surrounding the hilarious movie The Emperor's New Groove. We're all familiar with how Yzma chose to betray Cusco when she attempted to usurp his throne.
A toast to the Emperor. Long live Cusco!
However, instead of ending his life like she had planned, Cusco gets turned into a llama and runs away into the jungle. But there's a theory that Cusco isn't the first human to be transformed into an animal or insect. In fact, according to some viewers who posted on Reddit, we even see one of these transformed humans midway through the animated film. In his llama form, Cusco is still able to speak to humans, but he cannot speak to other animals. However, in one particularly morbid scene, Cusco sees a fly get trapped in a spider's web. The fly begs Cusco for his help, and Cusco can understand him as though he was a human himself. Sadly, he met a very gruesome end. Cinderella's Stepfamily. Cinderella did not have an easy life, and things got even more complicated when her father remarried and brought an evil stepmother and two mischievous stepsisters into the mix. The Disney movie Cinderella has more than a few dark secrets at its core. Some of these theories have been cooked up by fans, and others have been present since the original fairy tale was written. Either way, fans believe that Cinderella wanted revenge on her stepfamily after she married Prince Charming and eventually became queen. In the original fairy tale, Cinderella uses brute force to end her stepmother's life. Then she sicks her birds on her stepsisters, making them lose their eyesight. While this does not happen in the Disney version, dedicated Disney fans think that Cinderella's stepfamily still got what they deserved after the first movie, be it from starvation, poverty, or sickness. That is, if we don't take the sequel into account. There's also a theory that Lady Tremaine is the one who killed Cinderella's father, as she had once done with Anastasia and Drizella's dad. Christophe Secret. This next theory is so disturbing it might have the power to ruin the bond between Christophe and Sven. The Frozen franchise is dark enough as it is, but this theory is the cherry on top. We all know that Christophe grew up in an orphanage alongside his best friend Sven before moving in with the trolls. Christophe hung out with the ice harvesters and helped them when he could. Fans believe that Christophe and Sven became friends after Sven's mother was hunted by the ice harvesters, who then used her pelt to create an outfit for Christophe. If you look at Christophe's outfit, you'll see that he's wearing some sort of leather. The fur on the trim of his sleeves resembles Sven's fur, making viewers think that Christophe is wearing Sven's mother's pelt. Sven and Christophe must have been way too young to remember the events that brought them together, but deep down, we think Christophe must know the truth. Pleasure Island. Pinocchio is by far one of the most disturbing Disney movies of all time. This animated film has so many theories attached to it we don't know where to start. There's the theory that Geppetto is a senile old man who is so lonely he carves himself a son out of a piece of wood.
I wish that my little Pinocchio might be a real boy.
However, the fairies never come to give Pinocchio life, but Geppetto imagines this and pretends that his son is a real boy. This theory is pretty sad, but it pales in comparison to this next one. Viewers also believe that Geppetto once had a son who disappeared, causing him to go insane. Just like Pinocchio, his son was taken to Pleasure Island by Mr. Honest John. In the Pleasure Island scene, we see that the coachman calls the kids stupid little boys before putting them in cages and saying they never come back as boys. Geppetto could have created a replica of his first son and dreamed up the entire movie. However, this time around, his son came home and was still a real boy. Nemo isn't real. Finding Nemo is an amazing movie that teaches us the importance of family and letting go.
Bye, son!
Be safe.
But just like Pinocchio, there's something about the film that doesn't sit well with viewers. Some dark theories state that Merlin never had a son named Nemo. The grief-stricken clownfish was so devastated when his wife and baby eggs were taken from him, his mind tricked him into believing that one single egg remained. Merlin was so distraught that he raised the imaginary Nemo, until one day Nemo disappeared while on his way to school. Funny enough, the name Nemo can be translated to no one or no man in Latin. The Child Reaper.
Cheddar? Who's Cheddar?
Peter Pan.
Oh, Peter Pan.
Peter Pan!
The more we watch Disney's Peter Pan, the more disturbing it becomes. As children, it's easy to get lost in the story and imagine ourselves soaring through the air with Peter. But as adults, we can't help but make the connection between Peter Pan and the Grim Reaper. Disney's Peter Pan took place around the same time as World War II. Bomb shelters and attacks are mentioned throughout the franchise. There's a theory that suggests that the Darling family passed away on the same night that Peter came to take the children. This theory states that Peter is the Grim Reaper responsible for collecting the souls of children. He stays hidden in kid form to make the children he collects feel more comfortable. He then brings them to Neverland where their souls can rest and never age.
Peter Pan.
As for Captain Hook, some believe that Hook's child was taken by Peter, which made him go mad with hatred for him. Which one of these Disney theories hit you the hardest? Sound off in the comments. Thanks for watching The Things. Be sure to like and subscribe for more. We'll catch you later.